Researchers showed how AI-powered worms could wreak havoc on the internet. Meta took down over 1 million scam accounts in a joint operation with Microsoft, SpaceX, and the DOJ. And Google pledges to replenish more water than it uses at data centers by 2030. It's Wednesday, June 3rd, and here's a quick look at some of the news happening in and around tech this morning from Engadget. We've seen how AI can be used to find flaws in apps and websites, but researchers have now demonstrated how it could be weaponized to exploit those vulnerabilities. A team from the University of Toronto used publicly accessible AI models to power a prototype worm capable of exploiting any known computer flaw. Such worms can then spread through networks and cause chaos across the internet. A typical worm is usually designed by skilled programmers to exploit specific network flaws and can be stopped by patching those flaws. However, the scientists working in a secure, closed environment and taking extensive precautions used open-weight, open-source AI models to create a far more sophisticated prototype worm that spread through the team's test network with no human intervention. This new type of worm tailors its attack to different types of flaws across multiple platforms, including Linux, Windows, and IoT devices. It gathers data as it moves through the network, siphoning passwords and uncovering more vulnerabilities that will help it take over other machines. If an infection is discovered and patched on a computer, the worm can exploit other flaws to attack the same machine. Additionally, the worm feeds itself by siphoning processing power from infected machines to power its reasoning and strategy for future attacks. The idea of AI-powered cyber threats became very real recently with Anthropic's launch of Mythos, a model that can identify previously unknown cybersecurity risks. Anthropic has said that Mythos has already uncovered more than 10,000 flaws, boosting its partner's bug-finding rate by more than a factor of 10. Cloudflare, which helps protect companies from malicious attacks, found 2,000 such vulnerabilities, including 400 considered high or critical. The prototype worm created by the researchers can only exploit known flaws and not find unknown ones like Mythos. However, it's easy to see how bad actors could adapt it to both find and exploit new vulnerabilities, which would make it nearly unstoppable if released into the wild. One of the researchers said, "In an interconnected world, no system is immune to this threat." Sharing these findings is the first step in galvanizing researchers, industry leaders, and policymakers to take action. And quickly. Meta worked with the DOJ along with Microsoft, Coinbase, Starlink, and international law enforcement agencies to bust online scams and identify the criminal syndicates behind them. The company has been getting a lot of flack for letting scammers run rampant on its platforms and then reportedly making billions of dollars yearly from ad marketing scams. This particular operation focuses on criminal networks operating out of Southeast Asia, which target Americans with romance scams, pig butchering schemes, and law enforcement impersonation. They also offer fake jobs to fellow Southeast Asians who find themselves forced to work in scam compounds. Throughout the week that started on May 18th, Meta, along with Microsoft, Coinbase, Starlink, the Justice Department, the Royal Thai Police, and other law enforcement partners from the UK, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand, met in Washington, D.C. to share insights that helped them connect the dots between disparate pieces of information across platforms. Meta says it was the first of its kind to include cooperation between companies across the industry. Meta was able to identify and disable more than 1.4 million accounts, pages, and groups from Facebook and Instagram. Microsoft suspended 20,000 accounts used by scammers, while Coinbase froze more than $3 million worth of cryptocurrency tied to criminal networks. Meanwhile, Starlink disconnected thousands of kits it determined were being used by scammers. By exchanging information, they were also able to identify additional potential scam center locations, and law enforcement agencies have arrested 63 suspects so far. While they did not reveal their next steps, Meta said the participating companies remain committed to continuing this important collaboration to protect people online. Meta has been trying to fend off scammers for years and once took down more than 2 million accounts linked to pig butchering schemes, in which bad actors fool victims into making crypto investments or similar schemes before disappearing with their funds. Google is expanding its water stewardship commitments, including investments in replenishment projects, to provide more water than it consumes at its data centers by 2030. The company now has 165 stewardship projects across 97 watersheds, which are expected to replenish 19 billion gallons a year by 2030. Google says that's more than double its consumption for 2024 and would allow the company to use more water over the coming years and still achieve its goal. Based on general online sentiment, such as Aaron Brockovich's recent crowdsourced AI data center map, people living near these data centers are mostly worried about how the facilities could affect their water supply. A mid-sized data center uses around 300,000 gallons of water a day, which is equivalent to what 1,000 households use in the U.S. Google runs data centers for search, YouTube, Drive cloud storage, Gmail, and other services. And yes, its data centers also power its increasing number of AI features and tools. The company, like many others, uses water to cool down servers as it uses less energy than air cooling. In its announcement, Google says data centers in the U.S. collectively use 1% of the water that Americans use on their lawns annually. However, people are unhappy about AI data centers near their communities using water at all, as they feel AI is unnecessary in the first place. For this expansion in particular, the company said it's spending $17 million to support new projects in Georgia, where it will help enhance the wetlands at the Flint River Wildlife Management Area, and in Iowa, where it will help local farmers convert 5,000 acres into perennial hay and pasture systems. It's also supporting projects that use native plants to treat stormwater and mitigate flooding in Michigan, that will establish a 1-mile corridor along the Zumbro River in Minnesota to improve water quality, and will restore 98 acres adjacent to the Blue River as a wetland in Missouri. It will support water infrastructure projects in Nebraska and Texas as well. In addition to investing in replenishment projects, Google is making a $500 million investment into updating public water, wastewater, and water reuse infrastructure. It also pledged to use air cooling if its assessment reveals that a location's water source is at high risk, as well as to pursue reclaimed solutions, such as using treated wastewater from the sewers. In February, for instance, Google reported that it was building data centers in Texas that use advanced air cooling technology instead to limit water consumption. Thanks for listening. There's more tech news at Engadget.com. This episode featured journalism from Steve Dent and Mariella Moon. Enjoy your day, and I'll be back tomorrow with more tech news from Engadget.